Hey, thank you, Rivers. Thank you. Very excited to be here. This is, I believe, the fifth match we have of the Zemus-Zone Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise League. Neon, what are you looking forward to seeing in the race tonight?
Well, I am hard to say at this point. I mean, there's a lot of things that'll make for great watching. It'll make for great material for the league going on. I think none of our racers today have raced before. So this at least raced in the league anyway. So this should make an interesting shift to the standings.
Oh, absolutely. Given that, a lot of people have raced already, I believe Supremacy's already raced twice. So having four fresh faces, oh, and Muppets in Space has raced twice. So having four completely clean slates going into it, and starting with your best boy Kane and my favorite lady Rosa, this should be a pretty interesting seed. You know, you always hate to start with, Edward, Child Rydia with her level 1 stats and lack of spells. But this is a pretty strong starting team.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic start. If there's any issue with this particular one, it's if they both start at level 10, so you are going to want to start on something easier, but I don't think we'll be seeing any particular issues with that from these forerunners.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you probably can't. There are a lot of bosses that you won't be able to tackle immediately in the inn. Although with that Moonveil, that could help quite a bit. That's a free physical boss fight if they ever come across a particularly nasty one. Uh, First
Yeah,
form of Lugae definitely counts for that, but it'll have so few HP there that it won't be an issue. It's really whatever the second boss is there that'll keep them away from Kidia.
yeah, and that's assuming they even want her because, as we both know, she's not the most desirable of characters. There's nothing wrong with her per se, but
Well, we say that, but then they could end up getting Leviathan or Bahamut as their drop from the Antlion boss, that key item spot, and then all of a sudden I bet we'll see them rotating back to get her in a hurry. I do like the
yes,
little
absolutely.
divergence here, by the way, right out the gate. SwimmyLionni doing, what we saw Rivers do the other night in the community race, uh, skipping right over Barrentown, not looting it. Figure I'm going to come back there for the inn at some point anyway. Let me go ahead and maximize my loot density in both Damsian and Troya.
Yeah, though, we are seeing some fantastic loot over in Baron on Dragondarch's stream. Went for the water chest there. There's an ice brand. Then in the grass out back, we've got a heroine and we've got Zeus gauntlets.
Ooh, Zeus Gauntlet's one of the probably best pieces of armor you can get under these flags. Unlike the qualifier seeds, of course, we are rocking T3 S2. So the really high-end gear that you get from boss fights and trap chests, you're not going to be getting along your merry routing. So Icebrand, great to see. It's the best sword you can also buy for Cecil in shops under S2. And the Zeus gauntlets give whopping plus 10 strength and vitality, aside from having great physical defense on top of it.
Yeah, and that sword too. It'll do nice for Kane until a proper spear gets on him, because he can do better spear-wise, but swords, up until you hit defense, that's gonna be the best he can get to.
Mhm, definitely. Now, the one thing that Swimmy is missing that our other racers did get is that Moonveil. So if we come across, a tricky boss in probably not Antlion Cave, that probably won't be an issue for him. But if we come across one in Fabul, or if he decides to climb up ordeals, that Moonveil could make a difference for one of his competitors.
Yes, but you usually don't stay away from Baron for too long, so I imagine he'll get it sooner or later.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have Dragondarch checking a few weapon shops to try to find a slightly better spear for Kane. It looks like. I'm guessing he didn't want to put the ice brand on him, and of course we have seen another flame spear in Antlion Cave, so he may be regretting that purchase once he gets around to clearing out some of these key item locations.
Yeah, but we also saw a crystal armor in Antline Cave as well, so the money's gonna be there.
Also true. Crystal armor, one of my favorite items to sell for those of you who are new to this game. Only worn by one character, Cecil, and it gives you immunity to Berserk. The only bit of gear in the game that gives you immunity to Berserk, and we love Berserk strats in this game.
Yeah, it's it's the best thing you can do with a lot of your characters most of the time. They will hit hard, they will hit fast, and you know what? If that's all they were gonna do anyway, why not just take it out of your hands and
Yeah, absolutely. Getting the 1.5 times attack boost, and also the fact that your characters, like monsters, will take their turns as soon as their ATB comes up. You don't have to input the command. They got it covered on their own. And if the Antlion spot wasn't already free enough, we do have the King and Queen Eblin fight here. Under our current no free lunch level flag, and 1, they retain their vanilla boss script, which means you can do nothing. After a few turns, they'll become conscious and knock themselves off. But even if we were on N2, they do hardly any damage, even to this weak of a party.
Yeah, it's honestly kind of a waste seeing them here because that's a free boss anywhere else on a spot that is pretty much free anyway. But,
Absolutely. It's much more fun to me to see them in, maybe the Lunar Dragon spot on the moon.
yes, that's always great. And it's the hook for Swimmy.
Ooh, I'm very excited about this. I feel like most of the matches I've seen, I know there have only been 4 of them, but I feel like we've had a lot of Magma Key seeds and not a lot of hook seeds. So we may actually have people making that upper Babel climb down. What I'm really rooting for is for an overworld darkness crystal and see if people take the moon gamble instead of the underworld gamble.
Yeah, I love seeing that particular choice presented to people. I think we have actually been 50-50 on hook seeds so far, but
Really? Okay.
yeah.
I was a little late to the party Friday night, working on the community race, so I missed the start of it. I saw when everyone was already in the underground, didn't really realize that it was with the hook. Dragondarch, wanting a 3rd character sooner than the rest, is already on Hobbs, fighting Dark Elf. Already got it transformed too. Shouldn't be too difficult to fight, especially because the dragon mostly uses a percentage-based breath attack.
And I think that does answer the question on if he has plans to go to ordeals later, because you're not going to take that character unless you're going to head up there.
I mean, you say that, but he can still be handy early on, even if it's just to throw, an extra cure 2, or just to soak a couple of hits and let your other character stay alive.
I suppose, but...
Basically, I'm just saying beggars can't be choosers, and no free lunch makes beggars of us all, so...
That's true, but you know what? I'm perfectly happy saying no to what's very quickly going to become more or less a dead slot. But then I know not everybody will play that way, so...
Oh, and also, you mentioned the crystal armor, which, if not everyone is sold yet, it nullifies Berserk. But if this does end up being a Moon Underworld toss-up, it does have... Oh, well, he just got it from the chest, so there you go. It has the advantage of if you put Cecil in the back row, he can just cover, defend. Well, not defend. That nullifies his cover for the turn. But it lets him soak up some major physical hits and let your other party members stay alive a little bit longer, especially once you know the blink spell.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and of course, especially early game, with an early ordeals play, say, you're not necessarily going to be berserking anyway, so if you're not berserking Cecil, it's perfectly good armor.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. We have chocosura finally heading in to Fabul. Probably just that mute knife is the most interesting bit of gear there in the shop. It does let you do 4 times damage to mage-type enemies, which there are a few in the game. Most notably, Asura is the frequent roadblock that's vulnerable to those type of weapons.
Yeah, and I see he's got mute arrows for Rosa too. Only 3 left, but again, if you hit Asura, anything that will hit that weakness is good to have on hand.
Absolutely. Doing a little bit of inventory management here, a lot of the middling gear that chocosura doesn't intend to use, and also SwimmyLionni as well. Going ahead and ditching that for the cash. Life potions are one of those items that are always helpful. I can't imagine a run where I wouldn't want to have a decent stack of those.
Yeah, especially, they're so cheap, it never hurts to have them. I always get more than I ever expect to use, just because they don't go bad.
Yeah, absolutely. throwing that Rune Axe on Kane, Swimmy is, which against mage types also has that ×4 damage bonus, but it has kind of a middling hit rate. So we'll see if Swimmy's actually getting good DPS out of this, or if he'll end up preferring to have had the spear or sword equipped. Valvalist, this spot. Very thankful to have a Kane start accordingly.
Yeah.
Of course, just like in vanilla, the only way to break her out of that spin is with a jump attack, hit or miss. But while she's in tornado form, she has really high physical evade, really high, ridiculously high, not even really high, like sky high man. And so having Kane gonna make this fight a lot easier than it would have been elsewise.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen her be a total roadblock at Fabul before, trying to do this without Kane. It's not a good spot to run into her if you don't have him around.
Absolutely.
But,
and chocosura taking care of her in short order. Swimmy getting all those misses with Kane with that Rune Axe, even on the jump attack. Luckily, you don't have to actually make the hit to break the spin, but I'm sure he's wishing that he was actually getting some damage on those jumps.
Especially with what Cecil's putting out there. He's trying.
Well, I'll go ahead and say that he won't be leaving that Rune Axe on Kane for long. The King of Fabul just dosed out a white spear for our hero's troubles.
Well, you know what? After the work Kane has done for the Kingdom of Fabul, makes sense to me.
Very worthwhile reward. May see the swap back to Rune Axe if Asura is in a nasty spot. Other than that, that white spear is going to do some work this game.
Yeah, you know what? I like the Rune Axe on Kane or Cecil, but especially early on, and especially with better alternatives, they are, it's not the thing you want to keep using on them.
Definitely. Going to be interesting to see how Swimmy and Chocosura diverge now. They've both cleaned up the Fabul spot. Chocosura is checking the Kaipo shops. I'm guessing they're going to take a quick peek at who's asleep in the Desert Fever bed. And Swimmy going to do yeah, there's that white spear, and we'll see where he heads next after this. A little bit of convergence by everyone at the Fabul spot as well. And from here on, they have choices to make. You're going to do more shopping and looting? Yeah, Swimmy's going to Silvera. Are you going to go straight to Baron Inn or Ordeals for the key item spots? I can't see anyone going... Ooh, actually... Thinking about that hook, although there's no way these characters' levels are ready to deal with the bosses in Upper Ordeals, could be Edge, could be Fusoya, could be any number of good characters there. So maybe someone will even dip it next.
Yeah, I mean, I like seeing that early hook check. Maybe not with these characters. Nobody's got exits, so they may hold off on it, but it's definitely a possibility.
Where would you go at this point, right after beating Valvalis? Would you do Ordeals? Would you do shopping? Would you do Baron? Or would you go see that hook character?
At this point, you know what? I would probably have left Cecil on Hobbs. I would go hit Ordeals, and then go hit Hobbs after that.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's something I like to do with Cecil, with Tella, they're not going to be contributing a whole lot before Ordeals, but if I'm going to do it and I know where they are, I'll just get them after.
Mm-hmm. And Swimmy's actually making that play right now. He knows he has nothing in his inventory that'll make Rydia from the Baron Inn particularly useful at this point. You could grind her up till she learns Virus. Expecting more spells than that, you have to wait a long time because of how her transformation works in this game. So if he wants a more useful character, he's thinking, let me go convert Cecil into someone who can actually use all these knight weapons instead of the piddly Dark Knight swords.
Yeah, so we'll see how that actually works out for him. That is looking to be the Rubicant there, which, that's okay.
Very okay, and he's kept the White Spear equipped. I'm surprised he didn't quickly change back to the Ice Brand if he still has it in the inventory. Having that ×4 damage boost would have probably even one-shot Rubicant, but I think he's still going to knock him down in short order.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Did he go for the Ice Brand in the water? I've been having some stream issues here.
You're right. You're correct. It was in the Baron waterway, well, the pond really, and Swimmy did not go to Baron at all. He went straight north to Damsian. And we do have Chocos up the hovercraft character. He doesn't like this team as is, so he's going to get some really good information by seeing who the Upper Babel boss is, as well as getting, hopefully, a new character.
It does look like I'm seeing a network error, so I'm just gonna see if refreshing helps that, or if it's still...
Getting all sorts of different errors myself on refresh. I got a 2000 error, a 4000 error. Okay, we look live again. There we go.
Okay, I'm seeing a lunar boss and Yang in Eblin Cave.
Excellent. I missed the lunar boss. I do see our karate friend, so I'm glad you caught that.
So that could be very good news, or that could be very bad news. I can think of worse things to run into at the Rubicant slot than, say, Pildim. But, I also wouldn't want to run into Ogopogo there.
Oh, absolutely not. Ogopogo, very rough boss. It shouldn't be Wyvern. If it is Wyvern, we know the logic means that there is a magma key available in the overworld. One of the features of that B1 flag you see there in the middle of your screen is that there will be a path to the underworld that does not require you fighting Golbez, Wyvern, or the boss in the Odin spot in the basement of Baron Castle.
Yes.
So if we get down there and we run into Wyvern, well, you missed your you apparently missed your magma key in the overworld.
Yeah, so I would actually take that as a sign that maybe what you want to be doing before following up on that is a full sweep of the overworld. Just because that does make it something like a 1 in 4 chance that is Wyvern. I would want to make sure before going down.
Absolutely. Swimmy's still working on this gauntlet. One of the, it's not a difficult boss fight, it's just really annoying in this spot because it is 6 consecutive back attacks, and whenever you're back attacked, monsters start with full ATB, you start with no ATB, and you actually have to charge it up to get your turn. Meanwhile, both Dipwood and Dragondarch deciding they want that key item and that additional character, even though it is only level 1, and find a Baigen waiting behind the Dr. Lugay spot. Maybe a rough fight. Baigen can hit like a truck with a little bit of physical attack power behind him, and the karate spot definitely has that to smack you around with.
Yeah, like he's just straight up one-shotting Cecil there, who is not very durable, but still not exactly completely made of paper. So, but I see that this fight is pretty much won as long as there isn't a deadly explosion.
And Dragondarch spends enough time in the air with Kane to dodge it. Doesn't really matter that Cecil and Rosa finish the fight taking a nap, because there's no XP for that fight anyway.
And it's a vanilla Baron key for his trouble.
That's actually one of my favorite items to see under this flag set. There is the issue that Baron takes quite a bit of cutscene time, but you get a new character, you get 2 key item spots you can check, and you get a whole ton of free, dense loot in the castle itself.
Yes, and it is the package up in Ordeals, which... If we're talking about cutscene time, I like to say the package is the best time in the game to get up and get a drink.
And I think that's kind of funny, because not to, be too self-promoting or anything, but I was part of a race last night where we got a very early package, and I ignored it because I hate the time that you spend in that cutscene. And all 3 of my opponents did, and they all got edge, and oh, did he do work for them while I was trudging along with my tele-life. So the should be interesting to see if Swimmy, I know Swimmy also doesn't really like going through that cutscene, but I wonder if he'll even go check and see what the character is. Should be interesting to find out.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm honestly not sure it's worth it at this point for him. He's got Paladin Cecil, he's got Kane, he's got Rosa. That's a solid core team.
That's true.
Yeah, you don't really need much else of that. Anything else is bonus, really.
So, Dragondarch, having picked up Rydia, decides he's not quite ready to dive into the barren waterway and is climbing ordeals now to get his paladin. Dipwood, wanting to do two birds with one stone, not going back and forth, is going right into Barren Castle. Feels he's ready for at least the first boss, and then hopefully the loot will give him whatever tools he needs to deal with the second.
Yeah, and that's the sort of play I generally like, because you're right there. It's not... If you can take the boss in the Yang spot, you can probably take the bosses in Baron. It's a good economical move, so I like seeing that from Dipwood.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because in the vanilla game, of course, as soon as you fight Yang in the Barren Inn, your next part of the vanilla storyline is to go through this waterway and into Barren Castle. So makes a lot of sense. I like the play. We just have to hope that the actual King of Barren boss isn't something that's over the top destructive.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm seeing sirens over in, yes, Basidia, so it's not going to be like last night's race where everybody had to show off their fancy grinding skills. This is just going to be a lot of omelets being made later on.
Standard breakfast service. I am a fan. I mean, I like having to make the decision which way do we.
Oh, no!
A duplicate character, duplicate rows of this seed to go with our starting one. No one's going to be sitting through that unless, and this is one of the dream troll seed scenarios, Miss Dragon ends up being the Kaipo in boss fight, blockading progression in the game.
And I would love to see that, but of course, that is a vanishingly small chance.
Let's go ahead. I will put the commentator's curse all over that. I want to see that. I want everyone to be frustrated with it. That would just be absolutely hilarious for my evil lofty perch up here tonight.
Well, I will say, I did devise the point totaling for the fantasy league I have going on, that follows this league, and there are absolutely points involved for getting the Miss Dragon at the Kaipo Inn.
So if that is blocking progression, hope you chose at least one of these 4 racers for your fantasy team.
And looks like Dragondarch is chipping away at that gauntlet, still working on it, and Dipwood is facing off against the Dark Imps, which they're doing their thing, killing Dark Knight Cecil.
Yeah, having to fight 3 of them with that speed, they will dish out a little damage, but with how well equipped Kane and Rosa are, he should make it through this fight just fine.
Yeah, not a threat really here. Like, they certainly can be, but not like this.
Meanwhile, everyone else kind of covering familiar ground that we've already seen in one form or another, and that's kind of a thing you'll see on hook seeds compared to magma key seeds. When we have a magma key seed, you're going to have some people going underworld as soon as possible, some people doing a little bit more overworld first, a lot more routing options. On hook seeds, because of how difficult those Babel bosses are, if they aren't vulnerable to J item strats, you're going to see a lot of overworld clearance, and so everyone will be kind of going back and forth through each other's footsteps.
So Catclaw and another Ice Brand over in the Baron Treasury right there, so that is very nice to see, because if this is a hook seed, everybody's going to be passing by Yang, and an Ice Brand is a very nice sword.
Absolutely. Tim has a question in chat. I think that's Tim. Oh yeah, okay, 2 I's, 2 M's. Making sure I didn't miss an L there. Is adult Rydia her own character, or does she turn adult at some point like Cecil? She does become an adult after beating the first Dwarf Castle fight. However, unlike Cecil's transformation, Rydia's growing up only gives her a few more spells and changes her equipment options. Gets rid of white magic, adds those tier 2 summons and black magic. Doesn't actually change her stats. So if you have no reason to go to Dwarf Castle, you can just keep leveling up Child Rydia. She'll still get tier 3 spells. She'll still get Nuke and Meteo eventually. And you can take basically Kydia all the way to the Zeromus fight if you want to.
And Dipwood is currently in the presence of Octopus royalty.
Not a bad fight to see here. The Octomam in the vanilla game is some of the highest agility at its vanilla spot. The Kanatsu spot, kind of fast, but not as bad. And of course, every 3 hits, then 2 hits, then 2 hits, so on. Octomam will slow down more and more, and the fight will just get easier and easier.
Yeah, so that's, you know, that's one of those nice spots to see a bit. We do have the Moon Veil from earlier, but that certainly doesn't look necessary here. It'd be nice if Rydia could get up to get some experience points, and it looks like Dipwood is doing his best to keep her standing.
Oh yeah, she's still at level 1, didn't make it through the Dark M fight. If he can, he's going to try to get her some XP here and get her caught up a little ways.
And chocosura's doing the Baron Inn right now, or not the Baron Inn, the Baron Castle, getting that cat claw, getting that ice bread, and he is the one who has gone to get Yang, I believe. So that cat claw is going to be very nice to see.
Oh, absolutely, best weapon in the game for Yang. Although his claws don't actually increase his damage, they just have various effects, accuracy, stat boosts. Yang's primary attack is based on his level and his strength and agility growth. But Cat Claw's still wonderful item. If you can get 2 of them, even better. I bet that Yang will stay in Chocosura's party for the rest of the game at this point.
Yes, definitely. And I see we've got Edge in Baron Castle, which is fantastic. You know what? The game is really handing out great party members here, so at the very least, party composition should not be a big problem for these racers.
Yeah. In fact, if anything, this is one thing I'd be interested in seeing, is which of our runners are familiar with the back row glitch. For those of you in chat who aren't aware, there is a glitch that is still active, even with our glitchless flag being turned on. Once a character has equipped a back row weapon, they can attack from the back row the rest of the game. So normally you may be thinking, well, I have Cecil, I have Kane, I have Yang, I have Edge. That's too many to put in one row. But if you have a back row weapon, you know, a bow for Cecil, a boomerang or full moon for Edge, all of a sudden you can have 4 front row fighters in the space of 3.
Yeah, and especially with how strong those berserker strats can be in this game, that is a fantastic play to make. I do know Dipwood does know about it. We were talking about it just the other day, so it'll be interesting to see who or if he does decide to glitch it anyway.
So there's one Zeromus, you know, we talk a lot about Zeromus strats and how, you know, do you want to nerf Big Bangs? Do you want to leave Big Bangs alone and just heal through them? How are your character HPs? One fun strat that I've seen only on a couple of occasions that our characters are shaking out to make possible is the the beautiful 5 Berserker strat. Save that heroine robe for Rosa, back row glitch one of your other fighters, go into the Zeromus fight, just berserk everyone. You can kill Zeromus before you die if you have the gear, the luck, and the levels for it.
Yeah, and that is totally possible with this party comp. Everybody's going to come out with enough hit points for it. Everybody's going to come out with beautiful attack power. Just drink your wine and get ready to go.
Oh, that's Bursk, baby. Let's go. So we were talking earlier about how going through Upper Babel is a bit more difficult than going through the Magma Key. Magma Key, Underworld's just open to you, you dive straight in. If you want to get to the Underworld through Upper Babel, you have to go through bosses, one of which we know is a lunar boss. Luckily, we did see sirens for Selene-Mysidia, so our characters, our racers, do have plenty of grind options available even in the overworld. One of my personal favorites is up on Ordeals in the 3rd and 4th zones of it. You summon 2 Liliths, get 6,600 XP for knocking them both down, and you can get up to the mid-20s fairly quickly if you want to have an easier time at those Babel fights.
Yeah, and that is looking like that may be the play here, because you know what? We've hit a dead end on our key items. This is a hook seed. We're gonna have to go down through the through Babil.
Well, there are two exceptions, of course. As chat's correctly pointing out, there is Odin Spot. We've seen the Magma Key there before in our invitational match that we had the day we announced Zemus-Zone League. Couch23, great runner of this game, won his match the other night, was the only one of the 4 people in the first match to check the Odin Spot. It was beatable, it had the Magma Key, he had access to the underworld, while the rest of us were trying to scramble our way through battle. So that's definitely a spot. The other nastier spots it could be, of course, are Miss Dragon. No one's gone to fight the Kaipo fight via the package, and she could be hiding out at the first boss spot in the Tower of Zot.
That's true, yes.
If that ends up being the case, absolute hilarity. But you don't really want to hunt down those spots if you already have this path open to you. So I don't blame any of our runners for not doing it. It would just be an interesting troll on the randomizer's part.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth at least checking out the easy to get to spots, so we'll see if anybody pokes their head in on Odin. Maybe sees if she's there at Optimum, but, you know, it's not terribly likely.
Yeah. On the other hand, we do, and this is one thing, we've been talking a little bit in the community chats, which if you're not on the Discord, by the way, make sure you come join the Discord if you like this game, if you want to learn more about this game. People always helping out, tons of great guides, but there's been a lot of talk about which bosses you can just immediately trivialize with a Moon Veil versus if it's worth doing it. Because the Moon Veil will give you the barrier status, something that you won't find in vanilla Final Fantasy II US, that just makes you immune to physical attacks. So any boss that only uses physical attacks, well, you're in good shape. But can you do it in a reasonable amount of time so you're not lagging behind all your opponents?
Yeah, like we've seen already one of those bosses that does only use physical attacks. She's up right there now on Dragondarch's stream. Optimum doesn't do anything but hit you. Moonveil not needed here. But there are definitely others. We've got the Dark Imps. Miss Dragon is one of them. And yeah, and there's a lot of bosses that are worth just beating up while you're invincible, basically. And
Absolutely.
a lot of spots where it's not, though.
I will note also, by the way, that chocosura opting to ditch Cecil and keep Rydia, possibly thinking, I do want some black magic. May not be very strong yet, may not be very strong for a long time, but I want an offensive spellcaster in my party. Going to be interesting to see what decisions other racers make with their party comp. Again, none of them have, except chocosura, have been down to the Eblan Cave yet, so they don't know it's Young waiting for them. So all 3 of our other racers are going to have a decision to make once they get down there.
Yeah, and I mean, on something like a T3 like this, I think it's totally fair to be dropping Cecil. He gets a bad rap sometimes, but he's a perfectly good character. The fact that we are on K2, which means not every key item location will necessarily have a key item, that does increase your chances of getting something like an Excalibur or a Crystal Sword for Cecil too. So I would probably keep him around, but you know what? It's totally valid to ditch him for somebody else.
Drogan1088 asking in chat, is Antlion's counter physical? Antlion's counter will still go through the barrier status, I believe, but it doesn't scale up quite as much as pure physical attack does. So even if you're at a place later in the game where Antlion's hitting like a truck for, 1,000 to 2,000 damage, that counter attack will still only hit for a few hundred usually. There may be exceptions, there may be boss spots I've not fought it at, but usually I find that even with the damage from the counter, you can often get through it with a Moonveil.
Yes, and I've noticed the same too. Something like, 300 or 400 on a counter, which I've seen a lot. You can heal through that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Swimmy has now also made the decision to come on down through the Eblan Cave. No one even peeking the Odin spot for us. My heart's a little broken. Love to see gambles like that in action. which means Swimmy will have that same choice to make in a little bit. Another thing that I could totally see happening, again, if we want a troll seed, is all 4 of our runners give up Cecil. Nah, don't need him. And then we find a crystal sword at like the first spot we check in Underworld.
That's possible. I'm not sure how likely that is. Dipwood's going to Ordeals now, which that says to me that he's probably looking to keep Cecil. Otherwise, that's a point where he'd be good to move on.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, a little discussion of the 0 vitality glitch in chat. Like River said, if a monster can have a life potion used on it, well, it'll try to revive it. 0 vitality means 0 HP, and it just falls back over dead. You can also have humorous effects manipulating vitality on your own characters. If you slap a Drain Sphere on Kane when he's still level 10 and then try to revive him, he will also flop back over dead as soon as you try. And of course, if you pop a Heroine Robe or an Adamant Armor on level 1 Rydia and revive her, all of a sudden she has far more than that 30 HP.
And yes, to answer the follow-up question, that can always apply to any random encounter that has more than one, because, of course, once you kill a last enemy, the fight ends. And it also does apply to bosses where the game thinks they're basically random enemies, so it's good for the Fabul Gauntlet, the Kaipo Guards, the Dark Imps, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, Alexa. We do know we have a moon boss at the Ruby spot. So if it is Wyvern, we know that our characters, our racers, did miss a magma key somewhere in the overworld. But yeah, Ogopogo would be nasty. Their plague.
Oh, look at Swimmy. He's going for it. He's got the 4 fighters.
Oh yes, yeah. Swimmy definitely knows about the back row glitch, so I can see him making this happen. Meanwhile, Chocosura rewarded for keeping Rydia. The Mad Ogre chest in Upper Babil has Bahamut as the reward, so Chocosura is going to be feeling real great about their decision, and Swimmy, if he opens that chest, will probably feel a little disappointment.
And he just sailed right by it, so we're all good. I think he's quite happy with who he's got right now.
Hey, also fair. Not wanting to take the time on the chest. I'm surprised he doesn't even want to get the XP from it. Maybe going to see what the bosses are, then make a decision on this front.
Yeah, could very well be. Especially too, knowing it's a lunar boss. We've got Kane with a white spear. If that lunar boss is the D-looters, those things can be jumped to death relatively easily.
And Plague will also take ridiculous amount of damage from that weapon, since spears count as air attacks.
Yeah.
And that being the most powerful spear, Kane should be doing some work.
And so can Rosa, because pew pew with our bow.
Yep, absolutely. So the thing I'm starting to wonder now is we're fairly certain all our characters have to go through Upper Babel. If we see Wyvern in one of these spots, we'll be like, oh, wait. No, we missed something.
Oh, it's a double lunar spot. Pale Dim on the Edge's parents.
Pale Dim, of course, having some nasty physical attacks and counters summons and counter summons with Quake. Absorbs the base 3 elemental damages, but with just physical attacks, should be fine here. It will hit a little hard at this spot, but I think with this team composition, Swimmy's going to get through it okay.
Yeah, this should go just fine, and honestly, this is fantastic news, finding Pale Dim here, because it does mean that the Ruby slot is going to be one of those bosses who's going to be very weak to these party compositions.
Well,
unless Thunder's Dragon has, that's true. Right. I made myself forget Ogopogo.
Yeah, I try to forget Ogopogo most of the time as well. Probably just one of the nastiest bosses in the game, just because of how it does that percentage-based damage to your team, no matter what equipment you have on.
Yeah, I don't think it's possible to have a good time fighting Ogopogo. Maybe that first slot in the Baron Inn when you're like, oh, crud. Wait, it's dead now. Thank you.
Swimmy taking the time. This is one thing that a lot of beginner runners at this game overlook, and that's that you can go back and save between these two fights if you don't want to run the risk of redoing the first one. You don't have to heal or anything. The ruby slot gives you a full heal because, you know, so noble in the vanilla game.
Yeah, but I think, you know, it's always a good idea to go back and save, unless you already know that it's like Edge's parents. It's the D-looters, though, here, so no missed shenanigans, probably not hiding the magma key up there. This is just gonna be a straight up break out the white sphere, break out the flame, and just take care of these.
And by the way, Swimmy here pointing out his immense knowledge of the game mechanics, taking off both the Assassin Daggers from Edge before casting the spell. While the Assassin Daggers they both give a boost to, I believe, Strength and Agility, they penalize the Wisdom stat, which is what Edge's Ninja Magic's based off of.
Yes, so you definitely want to make sure that he's casting at his peak form, because this slot does have a good lot of hit points. We're still going to be here for a bit. We've got the deck stacked in our favor, but it's going to be a while.
Mm-hmm. And Chocosura making that gamble to keep Iridia. Maybe not a gamble, like I said. Maybe Chocosura just wanted a black mage, but pulling that Bahamut summon is going to let him blast through a whole bunch of these fights with a lot more ease than Swimmy is currently having.
Yeah, absolutely. This will do really nicely here. I really like seeing Iridia play, especially because, you know, she's not that great of a character, but when she's on, she's on.
Absolutely. And Dragondarch about to have to make the same long-term strategical decision here. Not even taking Yang. Impressive. I don't know if Dragondarch found that cat claw earlier or if he just doesn't care for Yang, because Yang's damage is kind of middling throughout the entire middle game. You really need to get him into around the 40s to start seeing his damage output be anything appreciable. So I can't blame this decision, but it doesn't look like Dragondarch is checking for trapped chests, so the Iridia keep will not be rewarded in his case either.
Yeah, he just sailed right by that Bahamut. So, sad trombone.
Bom 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 bom.
And yeah, like, you know, I don't usually like to take Yang if I've already got a party I'm happy with, because he does take that work to level up to be any good. He'll pay off, absolutely. But if you already got a party you're satisfied with,
That's fair. Dipwood also about to have to make this call. Let's see who he keeps and who he ditches. Swimmy, exploiting the AI pattern of the D-Lunars, has narrowed it down to 1. It's locked. He's taking the time to get his party back up. He wants everyone to actually get the experience for this fight.
Because this is a very high experience point slot. Dipwood is going for the 4 frontliners again.
Excellent, excellent. More smashing things to death. But here's the thing, Dipwood is checking treasure chests still. So Dipwood, let's see, are you checking the tower? He's not checking the tower ones. He does not want to fight those ogres, apparently. So he won't know what he missed either. So it should be interesting to see how this plays out. Of the 4 with their party compositions, I'm a big fan of melee fighters, but what I think is that Chocosura is going to have a mid-game advantage, having access to Bahamut to just blast everything with Dragon Breath. SwimmyLionni and Dipwood are going to have a big advantage at the Zeromus fight, because you're not going to be casting Bahamut really during that fight. You don't know if it'll actually nerf the Big Bang or not. You may just need a virus counter for your trouble and still need a full-powered Big Bang right afterwards. So I like Swimmy's and Dipwood's teams for the Zeromus fight. Dragondarch, sadly, did keep Iridia, did not get Bahamut. So as far as party comp goes, I think he has a little more of an uphill climb compared to these other 3 racers.
Yeah, and you know what? That's especially looking at the levels he's pulling right now. a little surprised at not going for those chests because seeing that, I would definitely go. I'd like a little more hit points going into this, please.
Oh, absolutely same. And not only that, but using the life glitch on them to get, 7 ogres for the price of 4. I mean,
Yeah,
it's free real estate.
yeah, like especially like the upper battle chests. None of them are really very far out of your way. You don't have to go through any like other kind of weird directions. Uh, but you know what? Looks like he'll make it through this, I think. Having a bit rougher time not having that Bahamut, not having but then
And Swimmy is through. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there.
no,
Swimmy is the first of our 4 racers to break through this spot, getting all the levels for his Yang with that lagging behind bonus XP that we get. If you're 5 levels behind the median character's level, you get triple XP, and that gives Yang quite a big boost there. Let's see also if Swimmy's going to take a peek. I just learned the other day, courtesy of Nightdew, that you can peek the lower Babel boss if you take 2 steps to the right here. Swimmy don't even care. He's going.
and that's interesting because especially with a tower key, that is something I would definitely want to do because that will really inform, for me at least, whether I want to just turn right back around and go in. Because you can take the boss up there. You don't know if that boss is going to be a pain or not, but
Yeah.
you can easily see.
I mean, useful ones to know about. You could see, even though we've already fought it, you could see if it's the full gauntlet. You know it's easy. You know it's going to take a lot of time, though. How soon do you want to go for it? Or if you see Asura, you want to make sure, wait, do I have my Star Veils? Do I have a way of getting Reflect on her so I don't have to just life lock her? Which Swimmy's great at that, so he's probably not worried about her wherever she is. And it looks like he is going to do a little bit of shopping and maybe a little bit of looting. Uh, would not surprise me to see
Silk
any of our
webs.
racers go right back into Babel. We do have the tower key. You can knock out both those key item spots at once. But of course, we do have our freebies waiting for us via the Sylph Cave and the Fey March.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens here. Silk webs in the Tomer shop and a free one in their warehouse. So that's very nice.
Also getting a little bit of wine, stealing it from the farmer's cellar. That'll be very handy later if we don't run across Bacchus wines elsewhere in shops.
Yes.
Chocosura also broken through these lunars and is on his way into the underground.
Let's see if he's gonna take a look. He is not.
Nope, not peeking. It's gonna be a surprise for us still.
Yeah, I mean, I understand nobody checking that. It is still kind of an obscure trick. But because before Nightdew mentioned it, or I actually watched him do it on his stream the other day, I had no idea. Like, I knew it was the same room, but I had no idea that if you just walked over there, the boss hanging out, waiting for that cutscene.
Absolutely, and I mean, I knew that you could peek it from below, like take just one step short of the cutscene trigger, and then run away and safety save if it looks like it's something really bad. But I didn't realize you could just peek it on your way down.
Yeah.
Dragondarch here, by the way, not liking what he saw at those boss spots. Gonna do a little bit of level grinding, but having a rough time of it with these ogres dishing out some nasty physical damage.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for taking some extra fights for that XP, but that's kind of where I would go. There's that nice, juicy XP full chest. Even not knowing that that it has the answer to most of his problems contained therein. It's a lot of XP.
Chocosura doing a very clever grind strat here, going ahead and using those sirens to go ahead and build up a lot of levels on the dragon eggs that we mentioned earlier, and has double assassin daggers on edge, so rolling for a chance of instant death, and going to be making fairly quick work with these eggs without even needing coffins or hourglasses to stop them, things like that.
Yeah, very nice. I've seen it work less often with the double assassin daggers, though, so we'll have to see how it works.
Well, the backup, of course, is Rosa with a heroin bow and Artemis arrows. She's got it if Edge doesn't.
Yeah, that'll do it. And what I'm wondering here is if this is just a mini grind, which is something I like to do if I have sirens, going right into the underground, or if he's just going to do the bulk of it right now, because I'm sure he's happy with that party. I'd be happy with that party.
Yeah, the one thing that would slow me down, I would definitely get levels to where I'd be comfortable knocking out these underground bosses for the most part. The issue is, and this is what's just going through my mind at this point, we've not seen Darkness Crystal, we've not seen Pass, we've not seen Crystal.
Yeah.
So that means odds are we're still going to be checking a lot of key item spots, and if I'm going to get to 10 key items, my grind will be a lot faster at that point. So it's really risk and reward. How many levels do I need now to speed up my mid game versus how much can I accelerate my grind when I'm ready to fight Zeromus?
Yeah, and it looks like he was just taking a couple, just shoring up those levels to get going. And I did not know that could happen. Looks like the D-looters are vulnerable to frog.
I'm guessing that, yeah, apparently you can reflect their Dragon Breath attack.
That's incredible.
That's amazing, because of course they have the boss bit, so I'm pretty sure that if you were to cast Toad with one of your characters, wouldn't hit. By the way, Legend Sword in the Fey March chest, not very interesting, but it is a key item. We had the karate fight against, Evil Yang, and then the plague fight at the Zeromus spot, only about 3,000 HP, so we'll tear through this very quickly. But yeah, I'm guessing that the Dragon Breath attack does not have the Mrs. Boss flag, but it does have the reflectable flag. So that's that's really great. Kane just stomping on a frog while his party of frogs just chills out, it looks like.
That's incredible.
I love this. I've got to save a screenshot of this. This is a beautiful moment in any fight.
Yeah,
that
that
in
is
Free
one of the
Enterprise.
best things I have ever seen playing this game. Oh. Kane and his team of mute frogs, mute tiny frogs.
Oh, Drogon, if you were to reflect your Toad spell, it would still miss because of the boss bit. It's specifically their breath attack that apparently still hits bosses, and that's beautiful. This is basically one of my favorite strats I've seen to beat the NES Japanese Final Fantasy II. Involves reflecting Toad onto the final Emperor, and it one-shots him because Toad in that game just defeats your enemies. So.
And it's the magma key from the King of the Dwarves. Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
I mean, it's still a key item again. You want to get to 10 if you can. Magma Key and Legend Sword, both utter trash, but it's 2 more on our way to double experience.
Absolutely, but, really? That's your treasure? Okay.
We locked ourselves away from the upper world. I guess you can open it now. Please don't use the drill. Avalanche Dangers.
That, still, let's see where we're all going now. Everybody all converging on the land of the summoned monsters. I missed who the bosses were down there, but we'll get a look right away.
Yeah, I was also paying more attention to Dwarf Castle at the time. Swimmy, I bet we'll take a quick look at them. Again, we have Moonveils. We have, coffins for sale. Not really necessary, probably, but it looks like Swimmy's going to sell some of his excess gear and pick up a few.
Yeah, they're a nice to have. Chocosura doing the turn right back around and go into Babel.
By the way, our wonderful tracker, NightDew14, doing a great job tonight. Thanks, buddy. Letting us know that it was Miss Dragon and Dark Knight Cecil at Levy and Asura.
Oh.
So that massive temptation. Of course, Dark Knight Cecil, if you can survive 3 hits, free boss. None of these characters can currently survive 3 hits. So if you can survive 1 hit and can get, cure potions or cure spells off between, you might be fine.
But that's a very fast slot, so you're probably not going to heal.
Very fast, very hard hitting. You can do some some shenanigans with the battle speed to make it a little more manageable, but be prepared for failure if you go do it now.
Yeah, he may be going to go for it. He looks like he's saving there? I would not, and I know you wouldn't either.
I hate those spots. The one thing I would do, since I do have multiple characters with over 1,000 HP, I may check and see just how much damage a single Dark Wave does. Oh, but Swimmy's like, nope, I'm good.
Totally fair, and yeah, it's worth seeing if you can at least survive the Dark Waves. But Miss Dragon there, nope.
Yeah, oh yeah, I would not do Mist Dragon, as I showed last night. I hate Mist Dragon at those spots. With the transformations, takes forever. No thank you. But one thing Swimmy might be doing, he is grinding. And after these fights, would not surprise me to see him go at least take on Dark Knight Cecil, especially with what his Cecil and Yang HP will be by the time he's done making these omelets.
Yeah, looks like it is survival if you can get more hit points. Looks like he's doing about 600 a shot. Dipwood, noping out, he doesn't have quite enough to make it through there, because he's gonna get hit twice before any curative item goes off.
Yeah. So chocosura, shocking the crowd. Everyone thought, oh hey, free boss on top of tower, which Mylon Gas is free, but because of a graphical glitch in the game, the Mylon sprites, the purple robed, monster looking dudes, appear blue in that spot. So, having already seen the football gauntlet, we thought, oh hey, water hag, 3 hits and we're done. Not water hag. So, be aware when running this game that if it's a blue robe figure at the top of the tower, could still be Mylon, but Bahamut doesn't care. Bahamut scorches all.
Yeah, like, I think chocosura is really, gonna have the easiest time out of anyone as we do this sweep for the crystal, for the actual means to get to Zeromus. Still won't have a terribly hard time on the actual fight. Ruby is gonna turn into a dead weight then, but you know what? The rest of the party's fine.
Oh yeah, having 3 great front row attackers, I mean, having 5 people berserked is great fun. Oh, just delightful to actually put out there. But far from necessary to have a good, clean Zeromus fight. Chocosura is going to be fun. I think it's mainly going to come down to routing decisions that lead us to that crystal and that Zeromus access at this point.
Yeah, and this is the most interesting sort of race, I think, where, you know what? You know that these racers will all be able to take whatever challenge is put in front of them. It's just how well they do it, how quickly they do it. So it really is coming down to their being able to read the bosses, to read their options, and to be able to pull it off.
Swimmy is making the Dark Knight play, eating about 750 to 800 a hit. And if he can get 1 Cure 3 off on Yang, this will be a free fight.
Done.
That vanilla Dr. Luge spot only yielding up a life staff, which,
Ooh.
I mean, I guess if you want to heal instead of just zerking through everything, it's a pretty good item.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say no to a life staff, but...
Yeah, but not what you're looking for now, not a key item. Dark Knight Cecil going down, of course this is N1, which is partial no free lunch. Oh, let's see what the key item is. Oh, it is a crystal tease, only a ring.
a crystal ring.
Yeah, it's a crystal ring. But yeah, so with the Water Hag, by the way, another waste of an easy boss in an easy spot, waiting in the Dark Imp's position in the cannon room. 3 hits and it goes down. With Dark Knight Cecil, if you can survive 3 Dark Waves without hitting him, don't hit him. He'll take care of himself as well under the N1 flag. N2, both these bosses become a little trickier.
Yeah, and still, that's still a waste, just because... But on the other hand, it is the only time you will see the boss in that slot take more than 2 hits.
So this is also going to be interesting to me, because if Chocosura does not get a key item from the Baron Engineers here, we will know that our paths forward are either through that Mist Dragon or through Sheila 1. Talk to Yang, talk to Sheila, get a key item. And we're running out of places to check very quickly.
Yeah, like, this has been a really pinned-in seed so far. Not a lot of options coming up. You get a couple here and there, but not a lot of diversions available.
Oh, Rivers, thank you. River's pointing out there's still Odin spot, there's still Luca key. I forgot we had the Luca key. Thank you. So there's several options. I'm just impressed with the lack of key items that we're actually getting from all these. I mean, that's our first 3 checks upon entering. Well, okay, Legend Sword and Magma Key, sure, but we haven't seen progression in 4 different spots here in the underground, which is just honestly kind of surprising. You'd think we'd even have at least 1 rabbit hole to go hunting through.
Yeah, you'd think. Maybe one of those other options will turn into a dead end. You know, nobody ever wants to have to go through Luca Key.
Ooh, Swimmy thinks his levels are good enough to take down that Mist Dragon. Chocosura finding the Darkness Crystal. We have moon access! And that blasts the seed wide open.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there, because it could be the thing to do. It could be a mistake.
Absolutely. That does... First of all, that is 1/2 of our equation for beating the game. We have to have access to Zeromus. Dark Crystal gets us that. We can fly to the moon, walk all the way through the lunar subterranean and make it. But kind of more importantly, this gives us access to all the lunar podiums, the lunar daises with weapons and armor that were sealed away in the vanilla game, plus the Bahamut spot. So there is a lot of places now where the crystal can be on the moon. Going to be interesting to see when our runners all get that darkness crystal and who decides to chase it versus clearing out the Earth.
Yeah, and this is, yeah, it's always one of the most interesting things to see, because we're at a point where somebody's gonna guess right, somebody's gonna guess wrong.
And Swimmy taking great advantage of the moon veils, and the Mist Dragon seems to be very intent on hitting Edge. Edge will not be hit, not with that barrier up.
And every just berserking, which will result in a lot of those cold mist counters, but they're not gonna do anything. This is just kind of a, you know, Kane is still jumping, or maybe no, they're not berserk. Never mind.
Yeah, Swimmy very smartly being patient here, not going with Zerk strats. Even though you dish out a lot of damage in a short time, all those cold mist counters add up, add time to your clock, just eat into whatever, perceived lead, or make you fall further behind, depending on how you're feeling with your execution.
Yeah, so good call there. This is not going to be a hard fight. A lot of hit points to chip through, but simple enough to do.
Dragondarch still struggling a little bit back in Upper Babel with these lunar dragons. I'm wondering if Dragondarch is not quite as familiar with their AI script as some of our other racers may have been, and thus having a little more difficulty breaking through the spot. He definitely has not triggered the unending virus counters, but he has been in the fight long enough to eat a dragon breath. So there we go. Okay, 1D lunar down. Should be a lot easier for him at this point. Hopefully just continuing to jump with Kane and that White Sphere will get this job done.
Yeah, so this should be the winning fight for Dragondarch there. Chocosura now having a nice chat with Plague Dwarf.
Shouldn't be too bad. Again, 3000 XP, Holy Spear.
And, oh, it is the wonderful, no, he didn't, he did have, the Star Veils up for the reflecting the wall, reflecting the count, but I do a jump.
Yeah, 3000 HP, you don't really have to worry about that spot. I mean, if you have the Star Veils to spare, you can see the cool red death sprite for a change, but easy peasy boss fight. Chocosura is going to be rewarded, of course, with that Magma Key. Only real value as on the key item counter at this point.
Yeah, it's a key item, nothing wrong with that. And Dipwood is about to set things in motion to get his own Darkness Crystal.
Absolutely. So one thing I'm curious about here is that last night, 3 of the 4 racers fought Mist Dragon at the Asura or Leviathan spot, I forget which, and led them down a very long item chain that kept them from the moon. So if one of these 2 items, either the Asura item or the Rydia's mom item, do the same for Swimmy. It'll either give him a huge lead, getting the crystal before anyone else does, or it could lead him to falling far behind, going down a long chain just to get a spoon or an adamant,
Yeah, and that's always painful to see. Looks like Dragondarch did take a wipe there again. Ooh, having a real hard time with those D-Lunars.
Yeah, they're a very tricky boss. They were one of the first ones that, when I started playing this game, even running into them in earlier spots without knowing their AI, I just ran into sudden, brutal pain. Like, why am I getting virus nonstop? Ow, stop that. Before realizing, hey, that's a physical counter.
Which he looks like he's set off this time.
I guess he prefers that to the HP-based damage and the D-breath, but okay, no.
No,
he was
he
just
doesn't.
testing the waters. He's like, nope, wrong. That is not a better option.
Meanwhile, Miss Dragon taking quite some time with Swimby. I hope that's gonna be worth it for him.
It's always a gamble to fight Mist Dragon in those spots. I love seeing it on the moon, because I know at that point, I'm already on the moon. This is, theoretically fairly late game, but taking the time in your mid-game to go through that fight, always makes me feel really, really nervous right in my gut.
Yeah, like, these are some rough slots. And to answer the chat, the glitchless flag is enabled, which means most of the really, the biggest glitches have been patched out. There's a lot of lesser glitches that are still in play that people do still use. We have absolutely no problem with people taking advantage of whatever edge the game gives to them.
Yeah. And just to be clear, with the glitchless flag, we disable 3 specific glitches. You cannot do the item duplication glitch. You cannot do the MP underflow glitch. So, hope you find a Soma drop if you want to be doing some telemedios. And we do not have the warp glitch, where you can cast warp in King Giot's room after fighting the vanilla Golbez spot, and warp into the sealed cave to backdoor that item. So those are the 3 that are gone. Glitches that still remain, you can still back row glitch, you can still use the zero vitality glitch to life potion enemies and get bonus XP, and there may be others I'm forgetting about. Power Robe from the Leviathan spot. Still can go check Mist Dragon. So there's still hope that this pays off for Swimming. By the way, Sheila, the one item was an Excalibur, so you have to be wondering if chocosura feels a little annoyed that they didn't keep Cecil after all.
But they're definitely also seem to be doing whatever they can to avoid going to either Sealed Cave or the Moon. Heading up ordeals now, not going to pay off very much for them, but it'll be a key item.
But it's one of those spots that you think, well, I dove underground kind of early. I didn't full clear the overworld. My opponents probably did. If this is, the crystal, I need to go there and knock it out now. My team is strong. The bosses won't be an issue. But, I wonder if chocosura is going to reset upon seeing the Pabul Gauntlet. Because even with this extra strong party, the Pabul Gauntlet takes a very long time, and he may not think it's worth it.
We'll see what happens. I don't think he'd be coming up here if he wasn't feeling behind, so we'll see what he thinks of that gauntlet.
Swimmy apparently going to also check in with Sheila. He will be very rewarded for having kept Cecil, unlike chocosura. So we kind of have this little opposition going on. We have people who are going to have Excaliburs versus someone who has Bahamut. And should be funny to see where these advantages get pressed.
And looks like Swimmy is heading up to Miss now. We'll see if that lengthy fight is going to pay off.
Zudmud asking in chat, is the 64 floor glitch still feasible to use, though? You can use it. You may regret it. If you're wondering, the wonderful Fred Coughlin.
Oh!
Only Leviathan! Iridia's mom.
French vanilla Leviathan, I would call that.
That leaves Odin and Sealed Cave for Earth checks at this point. Sorry, Zudmud. Fred Coughlin, member of our community, one of our 32 racers in the league, actually tested that for us a few weeks ago. The main programmer for this ROM hack, Boardface, has given us a a little Easter egg if we try to go the upco route to beating the game. I don't want to spoil it for you. If you're on our Discord, someone can get you the link to that video. Rivers may have it handy. It's beautiful. I don't want to describe it, but just know that you can try it.
Yeah,
and you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to try that glitch. More power to you. Good luck with that.
So Swimmy still has not been up Babil to find his darkness crystal. I'm wondering now, is he going to go ahead and check the Odin spot while he's in the overworld? Will he go ahead and dip Sealed Cave and just do the check and reset? Or if he's going to go there, since it is a 2-for-1 compared to some other spots.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Taking a rest in the inn in Fabul, that says to me Odin is the next check, just because he's in Fabul, so he's doing it here. But if he was going up Babil, I think probably wouldn't be napping here.
Yeah. There's also the fact that I think, based on Swimmy has not found cabins for sale anywhere either. I noticed this earlier when he was actually in the Feymarch. He went to the save point, popped his inventory, saw he had only a tent, and then then went to the inn before actually fighting the bosses. So cabins must be in the Naming Way shop on the moon, or Humming Way shop, if they're even in the seed at this point.
Oof.
So let's see, is he going to check Odin? He looks like he's zigzag. No, he's going back underground. I'm guessing he's going to go Babel. It is a 2-for-1. And then he'll have another big choice to make.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there once he gets that. Dipwood trying this now for the big disappointment.
Yeah, another fight that even with this team will take quite a bit of time for only the payout of, again, a power robe, which is kind of a bad defensive weapon, but it is bad defensive gear. Gives plus 15 strength though, so great for just someone who wants to punch things. And the Leviathan summon, which, having ditched Iridia, will get absolutely no use of other than selling it for the cold hard cash.
Yeah, like, I like the power robe. I use it a lot whenever I get it, but
does not feel like an adequate reward for this time commitment.
Yeah. And chocosura gets his package.
Ooh, Madamedes spotting something that I missed. The Swimmy slapped on that bow onto Cecil just momentarily to activate the back row glitch. So now that Cecil has that Excalibur, Swimmy's going to be getting 4 full power physical attackers between his 3 in the front row and Cecil in the back.
Yeah, so this is exciting. As we get into the late game, we are very likely to see like 4 or 5 Berserker strats on this, and that's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I love to joke that Free Enterprise is a game that if you do it right, will just play itself for you. But of course, you have to have made right decisions, good strategical moves to get to that point in the seed. It's always fun when you can just put your controller down at the Zeromus fight, but there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know what, if you play your cards right, that's possible a lot of the time, but you do have to do the work to get there.
So one thing that I'm going to be interested in seeing is if both Odin and Luca Key just have garbage. In which case, let's see, how many key items will we have left? So Swimmy, at this point, will get the Darkness Crystal, and then he'll still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 left. I'm trying to think if there are enough spots blocked by items and enough spots on the moon for both these places to have Bubkiss. And I'm pretty sure there are. Because if the moon has Pan, Twin Harp, Earth Crystal, oh yeah, very, very easy for Crystal to be gated behind an item that we get on the moon even, and still be back on Earth.
And that would be a marvelous troll. I mean, making people like, say, slug all the way through to the Ogopogo slot, giving them the Earth Crystal, which would give them the Twin Harp, which might give them the Crystal.
Yeah. And that's definitely a very tricky choice to make. If you find nothing on the Earth and you go to the moon, do you full clear it even after getting, say, Twin Harp and Earth Crystal? Or do you think, I've been at this for what'll by then be easily an hour 30, hour 40 minutes, and think, no, if I want to win this, I need to gamble. I need to fly back to Earth with this item and see what it holds.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting as it goes, because we do see chocosura heading up the sealed cave, so we'll see if that leads anywhere.
Yeah. I did not see if chocosura saved outside. Of course, that is a popular strat to make a separate save files, so that if you see this item is worthless, you don't have to go all the way back through. You just reset and go on about your day.
Yeah, it's easy to forget to do that, but you know what? The game gives you 4 save files. It is 100% worth it to actually use all of them.
Absolutely. Or at least, situations like this where you think you may be backtracking, okay, I didn't need to go all the way through there. I don't want to walk all the way back out. So, one good thing for chocosura, though, is that we've already seen Mist Dragon. Chocosura saw it, didn't fight it. If this is a garbage item, chocosura does not need to even look at the boss. That's something that is very easy to forget under no free lunch flags. You dip here, you see it's a protect ring, and you're like, nah, I'll reset. And then just to find out later, it was Mist Dragon hiding on that bridge all along.
It's Earth Crystal.
Okay, so our Moon Dream has died just a hair, not a whole lot.
Yeah, we're gonna see, yeah.
Yeah, it's a progression item, can't let it go. Asura at the evil wall spot, though. But they're definitely, yeah, Rosa has learned wall. Don't even have to do a double Star Veil Reflect. Chocosura is gonna have this in the bag pretty easily.
Yeah, this isn't gonna be hard, but yeah.
The only thing to worry about would possibly be if wall wears off at just the moment she casts a Cure 4 on herself, and you basically have the fight reset with fewer resources.
Yeah, and that's never fun. But I think chocosura's, of all of our racers, the one least in danger of that happening to. We've got the Bahamut coming out. That is gonna do a lot of work here.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the other nice thing about that too is that if you, once we see Swimmy come down here, if he does come down here, working with 4 melee characters, Asura does counter those attacks. And although you can have really good, damage per turn, you're still taking, or pardon me, more like damage per second. The delay with Bahamut has the advantage of dishing out a whole bunch of damage all at once.
Yeah.
So you eat fewer of those counterattacks.
Swimmy gets his Darkness Crystal and heads straight for Sealed Cave, which, fair enough to check if that's something you want to do before heading up there. You're right here. But, you know what? This could just be another rabbit hole. It could be chilling on Wyvern's spot in the moon.
Definitely. But what is the good news for Swimmy is that none of the other runners have taken that gamble quite yet. Dipwood still grinding out this Mist Dragon fight. Chocosura, in spite of having avoided the the summon monsters, King and Queen, not that far ahead of Swimmy. So even though that Mist Dragon took some time, Swimmy's not quite fallen behind because of that decision.
Yeah, so we'll see how it comes from them. Meanwhile, Dragondarch is still in Upper Babil. Looks like taking randoms to grind up some more hit points to get through those D-Lunars. Looking a lot more durable now. We'll see where that happens.
It's kind of a double-edged sword, though, because with their flame ability doing percentage-based damage, even though you're bumping your HP up, you're also increasing the amount of damage they do per flame. The question is, does Rosa have, the will stat to really heal through it? So it's kind of a delicate balance with all these HP-based attacks. Do I have enough levels to do my damage without making it to where I can't heal their damage?
And as Titus Zekdax asks in chat, yes, you can warp out of Sealed Cave. You just cannot warp out of the the boss room.
Yeah, the room Swimmy's in right now, you cannot, you can't warp out of it. But as soon as you step back a notch, you can warp through all the other rooms and save yourself a little bit of walking.
And as Rivers does point out as well, chocosura has started his grind. He's got his 10 key items, gonna do the work now. Fair enough. Don't have the crystal yet, but you know what? He's got a good idea that, you know what? This is how it is. We've got the XP doubling now. Let's get this grind done.
Absolutely. And another great thing for Chocosura is Chocosura has to be so happy with his team right now. We have Rydia with Bahamut. We have Rosa, the best white mage in the game. We have 3 great front row fighters. This is the team I'm taking to Zeromus. I don't care which 2 characters are waiting up on Zot. You know, maybe he'd take Fu over Rydia just for the utility, but Fu already comes at level 50. So why not do your grind right here and now?
Yeah, and you know what? I'd be perfectly happy with that too. Like, keeping Rydia there has been a fantastic play for him. That has paid off in spades. Still the only one to even check that chest that had the Bahamut, and yeah.
Yeah, again, surprises me that some people didn't do it even for, you know, the life glitch experience, and then to have that reward on top of it. I'm really sad that we didn't get to see the look of disappointment in our characters' actions on a Swimmy and Dipwood screens at least, since they did Shridia and that very next trap chest had Bahamut.
Yeah,
Dragondarch probably wishing they had checked that chest at this point.
Dipwood collects his power shirt, gonna go get his Leviathan summon.
Okay, now this is interesting. Even having gotten the Earth Crystal, Chocosura is going ahead and heading for the moon. Not checking Odin's spot, not checking that key item chain he just unlocked in Tower of Zot. Don't blame him. Those are only 2 spots here. There are many more spots on the moon that you can check, and your team is ready to go. What I do like, and of course this is my bias, Chocosura did not fight Mist Dragon.
Yes, fantastic call there. And I totally agree with you. I would have left Mist Dragon waiting there. Because honestly, with Mist Dragon there, you know where it is. It's not going anywhere. You can go back, and if you go back later, you'll be able to handle that much more easily. So, yeah.
Swimmy having to fully hoof it out of Sealed Cave, not having the warp spell like Chocosura did on his Rydia. But that's fine. A lot of these rooms are fairly short, and sometimes I wonder if the time it takes to menu and cast it isn't longer than just dashing.
Yeah, like I wonder that too. This room obviously is worth warping through, but otherwise, some of them are quite short.
Here comes Dipwood's disappointment. Womp womp. Oh, all that work. Now, here's the thing about finding that, though. You know, Swimmy, I think, probably felt like he had made really good pace through the Lunar Dragon fight, knowing the strats to lock it in place. Dipwood, having spent all that time just now on the Mist Dragon fight, after having had, you know, a little slower time against the Lunar Dragons, probably feeling a little behind now, maybe looking to make some interesting gambles.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see where he runs next.
Yeah, this could be very interesting. Checking in with Sheila right now. Totally makes sense. Oh, and Swimmy is going to check Odin. And
Yes.
Yeah, like I totally get not going up Zot right now, but before heading to the moon, at the very least check Odin. It doesn't take long to just poke your head in. And
Rivers, I hope not. I also hate checking Cave Bahamut. I dive that Lunar Core right off the bat. If Crystal's ever on Bahamut or behind Mist Dragon in the town of Summon Monsters, I'm out of it. Oh, CPU at this spot, which means that it was
basically free.
Yeah. Like doing the 10% damage per hit with the Mazer, Rosa can easily heal through that. Deciding resetting out, really?
Really? Yeah, that's an interesting play.
I mean, you have Kane who can jump and hit the CPU for full power. You have Cecil who's back row glitched and can hit it for full power. I'm shocked. I'm honestly shocked. I figured Swimmy would
Yeah, like I would just If I'd seen that, I'd be kicking myself for not having done that earlier.
I mean, that spot does have a lot of HP. Well, not too bad. Let me actually pull it up right quick. I have my my handy dandy spreadsheet. The Odin spot only has 20,500 total HP. Kill that defender, and you can burn through that in a heartbeat, Swimmy. I'm wondering if he thinks I spent so much time fighting Mist Dragon, I can't spend that time on Odin. But if you've already gone into the Baron Castle basement, go for it, dude.
Yeah, we'll see if that's necessary or not, because that CPU could very well be sitting on the crystal.
And hooray, Dragondarch has finally made it through the Lunar Dragon spot.
Yay!
Going to have Underworld access, going to finally have more spots to check. Very excited. I mean, I know they're probably feeling a little salty right now, but they have choices they can make now. They have things they can do. Hopefully it lets them clear the fog of that fight out of their head for a little bit.
Yeah, and at least, with those levels that he got to get through the fight, he'll be in pretty easy shape to take everything ahead of him pretty quickly.
Rydia here learning Quake after the Bahamut fight, illustrating why I like Palom so much better.
Yeah. Oh! No!
More fetch quests. So here's something else. Chocosura now has Twin Harp and Earth Crystal. Two items that go very well hand in hand together. If you're going to Cave Magnus, you have to be right next to Troya anyway. So I wonder if Chocosura is going to go. Okay, yeah, Chocosura is making the play.
Around, yeah.
I mean, we are approaching the 90-minute mark. We have had the Darkness Crystal for a while. You have to think, so many of these races have wrapped up around this point. If I don't make a gamble, someone else is going to beat me.
Yeah, so, this is definitely where I start thinking, oh my god, the other players are on their final grinds. They're about to go into zero.
Which, funny enough, still no crystals anywhere. I'm sure everyone is super nervous, even though they're all more or less in the same boat still.
Yeah, like, honestly, we're still at a point where we cannot call this. We can't even really reasonably say who's ahead, just because we don't know where ahead is.
Absolutely. And Chocosura apparently doing a little bit of shopping, must have seen something in this armor shop early in the game. Ooh, tiaras. Very expensive bit of gear. Does give a wisdom bonus, which will increase Rydia's black magic, but also notably has great magic defense with magic defense and magic evade.
And the dream team up in Zot, Tella and Edward. Let's see if he takes both of these fantastic characters, because who wouldn't at this point?
I mean, clearly not appreciating the people who chose him in your fantasy. I don't need those points for taking Edward and Tella to Zeromus.
Hey, you want a lot of points. You take Edward, you put him in adamant armor, and you rig it so that he is the last person to survive. You will clean up.
That may be true, but forgive me if saying that the people who chose me for fantasy are a little bit on the back burner compared to my actual league points.
Are you saying that the fake points matter less than the real points?
Hey, all the points are fake when you get down to it. This is just a video game. We're just having a good time.
And besides, the points that really matter the most here are the SRL points.
Right. Swimmy knocking down Odin, not a high HP location, very mid-game, I mean, really early game fight, I'd say. So, with this team, complete non-issue.
Yeah, and there was Ogopogo there, which, good place to find that. If this does end up not panning out, if he has to go to the moon, you're not fighting Ogopogo on the moon.
Okay, this is where I'm going to take a little bit of issue with... Wait, what was it? What was it?
It was a crystal!
Oh my god!
SwimmyLionni
is in go mode! First one of our runners to get it. Crystal hype. Oh my goodness. I missed it because I was a little distracted by Chocosura. I'm a little surprised that Chocosura has decided to come back down and work on these Feymarch bosses after having opened the moon, found a key item that opens another chain on the moon, and having Earth Crystal go with it.
Yeah, like that's an interesting decision. I am not sure why you would do that.
Yeah, that's one thing that I will say, that no matter what route you go with, commit to it. That's one of the things about playing this game, especially if racing. If you want a full clear, fine, do things in whatever order. But if you're up against 3 other fantastic racers, which all 4 of these great racers, make sure you give them all a follow. Make sure you keep watching Zemus-Zone League, see how they perform in their next 3 matches. But if you're up against people who you know are that competitive, you have to make the call and commit to it. You can't be going back and forth. Oh, what do I want to do? And that's definitely going to reward Swimmy. Swimmy made that play, saw the Earth Crystal, is like, I'm going with this to the bitter end, and it paid off.
Yeah, and absolutely, it's I don't necessarily think that the following chains that you get is necessarily always a thing, because certainly this game loves to give you rabbit holes, but have a plan. You really need a plan to do this.
Yeah. And that's one thing, and we may be missing something. Chocosura may have had something very specific in mind with this, but I cannot wait to interview him and be like, wait, you took the time, you went to the moon, you knocked out that Bahamut spot, and then you just kind of ignored that you'd done it. And that's the part that I'm really curious about.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. Like, plan to get back to those bosses down here later on. Maybe looking at the time clock and going, you know what, maybe it is one of these guys. But, you went up there, you got a key item.
I will say, fundamentally, I am also a little sad because when I saw that twin harp, I thought we would get to play Name That Tune this seed. Which we may still get to, of course. We know the crystal is in Zot, and Chocosura has that twin harp. So after finding out that it's not in these spots, maybe Chocosura will go back and do Cave Magnus and Tower of Zot, and the audience will get that sweet, sweet twin harp music we all love and crave.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see if he does do that, because you know what? It's not a winning move, but it's a move that's definitely a treat for everybody.
Absolutely. Dipwood, having wrapped up Sealed Cave, does have the Earth Crystal as well. Let's see if he decides that that's the play to make, which, of course, we know it is.
And looks like going to Dwarf? Is this just a shopping trip, or is he gonna go get his Magma Key?
Wouldn't surprise me. He is right here. It is on his way back up and out of the underworld. Yeah, he's going to go ahead and knock out these 2 easy fights. Get another key item for his troubles, which I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We'll put Dipwood at 10, and we'll begin to get that double XP bonus.
Yeah, so you know what? Perfectly fine play there, especially knowing, as we do, what the bosses are. These aren't going to give any trouble at all. If Karate Man survives long enough to get hit by Cecil, he'll just heal over right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, he has to get 2 kicks off.
Yeah.
The AI script, the reaction script is, if you kick twice and then Paladin Cecil bonks him, then we're good. Swimmy has had enough grinding, apparently, and almost flies to Troya, remembers, wait a minute, I don't have a pass. We have to take the long walk. And also did knock Cecil down at, I'm guessing, level 44, 45. That's the point where Cecil hits that sweet, sweet 28 agility, making him a perfect anchor for the Zeromus fight. Alternately, if he kept a cursed ring, had one of those somewhere, then level 46, 47 works great as well, because you put that ring on him, and Cecil drops down to 14 agility, which, in my opinion, is even better.
Depends. I think if he's got the Excalibur, I would kind of actually prefer Cecil at 28. Give him some more turns. He's gonna hit pretty hard himself. So either way, though.
We had a really great synchronization for a moment on Dipwood and Dragondarch's screen. They both cleared off the karate fight exact same time. Really, really funny to see.
And Supremacy saying Cecil was knocked out at level 47, which is 29 agility, which, meh.
Yeah, the only way that makes a difference is, again, if Swimmy did have the Cursed Ring, that'll make a Cursed Ring Cecil at the perfect agility for your anchor.
Yeah.
But 29's fine. Swimmy is not going to have an issue with this fight unless timing gets way off for him.
Yeah, and honestly, with this particular party, I don't think even timing is going to be that much of a speed bump. It's a party with a lot of hit points, with a lot of hitting power. this should go very smoothly, I'm expecting.
Yeah, I don't know if or where we found Bacchus wine for sale, but if so, being able to have all 4 of those characters, possibly even Rosa, if he has some Artemis arrows left, go Zerk. Oh baby. I want to see that fight. Come on, Swimmy. Bring it home for us.
Yeah, we'll definitely see if he's able to pull it off. It does take a bit longer if the Zerking has to come from Rosa.
Absolutely.
Looks like
Dipwood
chocosura
being
had a much easier time with the Mist Dragon with those Bahamut's.
Yep. Dipwood, meanwhile, getting blocked by one of the top 10 or bottom 10 worst NPCs in the game, that dwarf who blocks the left staircase.
What a jerk.
uh, NPCs in this game are the true final bosses.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Scalakitty, if you're watching this, I hope that one of those Zero Miss bosses is a combination of that lady in Kaipo, that lady from Troya, Luca, and that dwarf.
NPC Omus.
Yes.
That's a great idea. You should definitely add that to the submission form when we're done here tonight, Neon. I would love to see that.
Should. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
And of course, Chad has pointed out, we saw it a moment ago as well, Vanilla Fusoya on the dais, so anyone who decided to come here and beat the character early would have been rewarded with their Lunar Sage. Not really necessary. Swimmy, I believe, is fully content with his team. Again, having 4 Zerk fighters will slice and dice the Romus into 1,000 itty-bitty pieces very quickly.
Yeah, I really like taking Fu, but there's no reason to here.
Chocosura, having, like we said, cleared up that Mist Dragon fight, a little bonus round action, now has multi-ball activated with the CPU attacker and defender at the Odin spot. Not resetting out like Swimmy did. Gonna actually go ahead and clear this spot out. We'll get to see what key item was waiting here. Very few rabbit holes left to chase. The only thing here that would really delay Chocosura with multi-steps would be the pan, and that doesn't even require a boss.
Yeah, because he's doing everything he can to avoid the moon any further. So I don't think we're going to see an accidental full moon clear here.
Yeah. And incidentally, this has been yet another K2 seed where the moon was not necessary for key item progression at all. Of course, you find the darkness crystal somewhere other than the moon. Impossible not to. But the crystal was on Earth and not gated by a moon key item. So flying up here to start with would have been a big waste of time, and Swimmy illustrated that, having to even spawn the whale before making his first and only jump towards the Romus.
Yeah, and you know what? Seeing how often this has come up is actually going to be very interesting, because I know that a lot of our racers, they like to play Moon early, and I'm wondering if, seeing how often it comes up where it isn't the right call, I'm wondering if that's going to change any strategies later on.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that getting all these races in over the course of this month, we're going to get some really good data to look at. Maybe not a huge sample size, but it'll be interesting to see where a moon dip was the right play and where, full clearing Earth was the right one.
Yeah, and I'm sure you are. I'm really interested to see what those numbers actually end up looking like, because I love numbers, I love spreadsheets, I love charts, I love math. This is a pro math commentary stream.
Vitasia, the crystal was the reward for completing Tower of Zot. So Dipwood will be getting his in short order and be coming in to go mode, second behind Swimmy, who, as we see, is about to show us whose butt we get to kick tonight. Rooting for a new sprite, hoping it's one I've not seen before.
Yeah, should be coming up any second now. And don't you deploy those no maths right there. Math is good.
Oh, it is it is Vitreous, or Vitromus, of course, boss of Misery Mire in The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Fairly well-known boss in the randomizer community. Sadly, not one of the new sprites, though, that our community member Scalakitty has worked so hard on. But we'll be seeing a few of them, undoubtedly, over the course of the next few matches.
Yeah, and you know what? It's still a very good sprite. Getting those berserks off, getting the team going.
I've not seen anything that would trigger a nuke. Only one Bacchus wine to go, it looks like, unless there's another stack hiding down. Looks like, oh wait, there was a nuke. I saw the 45 on Yang without seeing the first 2 digits, so I'm guessing he used the Silk Web.
Yes. My preferred opener, I think it's probably the best that you can ever really open off this fight with. It's never bad to have Zeromus going slower. I see Dipwood is about to fight the final boss of Zot. He's going to get his crystal.
And chocosura finally making the call as well, running up the tower.
Very nice. Meanwhile, Dragondarch is getting his life staff, which he's slapping on right now.
Which will also, of course, lead him to the Darkness Crystal once he fights the Cannon Room boss and leaves Babel.
Yeah, so he's coming up. He's making good time now that he's through there, at least.
Supremacy asking if Dipwood has done his grind yet. I don't think he did. When he got that 10th key item, I think he came right on up to the overworld. So if he does have to spend some time getting a few levels, that'll let Chocosura catch back up, who definitely already has the levels for the final fight.
Yeah, like I just caught his status screen right there. I'm seeing like level 46. That's plenty. Rivers is saying Dipwood's levels are good, so we'll see if he feels happy with them.
Excellent. Yeah, I see that Rosa has 2300 HP. That's give or take, and that's more than enough to survive most unnerfed Big Bangs, so should be fine.
Yeah. Which, you know what, I think we've got a very clear lead unless a severe disaster strikes for Swimmy. I don't think that's likely. But you know what, the race for second is going to be pretty tight.
And sadly, Dragondarch had a lot of trouble with that Lunar Dragon fight in the in Upper Babel. Slowed him down quite a bit. Hopefully he'll make really, really great routing decisions over the next little bit and wrap up the seed as well.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. You can have tons of wipes at Zeromus, but that definitely did turn out to be a massive speed bump.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see what happens for him as he goes. We know the correct move after this, of course, is going to be Sealed Cave, but he is at one of the more open spots of the game now. We'll see if he does make the right call, or if he chases that Darkness Crystal.
Dipwood apparently taking a little bit of time to do some additional shopping before heading up, and this is just giving Chocosura time to get caught up. I'm guessing at this point it must have been maybe Bacchus wands or Silk Webs for sale in Elbin Cave. We'll get a quick look here, but he's just letting Chocosura.
I see.
That's fair. If Rosa ends up taking a dirt nap, those Cure 3s can save the day. So can't really argue with that, but it is still a bit of a time sink. He's not seen anyone done, so you have to be thinking. Oh, well, now he has. Ladies and gentlemen, SwimmyLionni has finished in first place with an official time of 1 hour, 42 minutes, and 48 seconds. That's going to make Dipwood a little bit nervous. It's one thing to shop when no one's finished. It's another thing when someone's already cleaned up. So, GG to Swimmy. Let's see if we can get him in here for a bit of an interview.
And while we wait, looks like Dragondarch is going down to check out Yang in the Sylph Cave, which, fair enough. He's right there. It's no opportunity cost except a quick walk. But
Dipwood has the Cure 3s, is off to the moon. Chocosura about to have their crystal revealed to them, and should be following suit in short order.
How's my mic working?
Hey, Swimmy!
Hey, Swimmy!
GG, dude!
yes,
Thank you.
GG.
How'd you feel about that seed?
I felt like when I got stuck on this dragon for like 5 minutes that I'd almost certainly lost.
Yeah, that was a huge gamble. It didn't pay off for you.
Not at all.
Yeah,
But,
we were worried watching you, and then, seeing that that power and Leviathan double whammy, that hurt. I felt for you there.
Yeah. You know,
Good job, by
that's
the
not
way.
the first time it's happened to me either, and you think I would learn, but
I hate that spot for that reason. But you were the first one to actually pursue the Earth Crystal. That paid off for you. Question though, you went and peeked the Odin spot. You saw CPU. Not that bad of a boss at that point. Why did you reset and leave Baron Castle?
I just didn't feel like I could do damage to it that quickly. I had the Darkness Crystal. I knew that I could probably take on moon bosses easy. I knew I could definitely take on the Earth Crystal bosses easy. And I just felt like, oh, and I had forgotten to level. I meant to do my grind before I left the underground. And I was like, if I had already done my grind, I could just clobber through this, but I haven't. I just felt like it was going to take too long. And I said, screw it. We'll see what happens.
Hey, it paid off for you for sure.
It
The,
did. I was so frustrated when I went down to the underworld. I was like, oh, I forgot to check the Odin spot. It could have been something easy. And then when I saw CPU, oh, I'm so glad I didn't check the Odin spot.
The one of the big divergences early in the seed was people deciding what combination of characters to take. Chocosura and Dragondarch both stuck with Rydia, and then you and Dipwood both went with Cecil instead.
Mhm.
When the Mad Ogre chest in Upper Babel had a Bahamut summon in it. So Chocosura actually was maybe a little bit ahead of you, had an easier time clearing out a lot of bosses using the Dragon God, but Chocosura did the moon and checked out a Cave Bahamut before coming back and following the correct path. And that's where you pulled back ahead.
That's funny. I usually do the Mad Ogre chest too. It's just I had spent so much time on the planet, I felt like my characters were grinded up enough. I do the Mad Ogre chest for grinding, not for the item.
Yeah.
So I said, whatever, I don't need it. And
You certainly didn't just.
Also, great job, by the way, illustrating how the Lunar Dragon AI can be manipulated and abused.
Yes.
Some of our racers had a much more difficult time with that spot. Do you want to talk us through a little bit of the AI and how you took advantage of it there?
Yeah, the AI, if you attack the Lunar Dragons, they both cast Wall and then they spam Virus off of themselves. There's nothing you can do about that, you're going to die. So never attack them, but once you've taken out one of them, if you attack the other one, it breaks the AI, it casts Wall on itself, but it doesn't cast Virus. It will only counter with fire. And then I'm not sure exactly how it works. Occasionally from then on it'll use fire after you hit it some more. But yeah, you can just break it by waiting until one of them is dead before attacking.
Gotcha. And with Kane having that white spear, you didn't have that difficult of a time burning down the HP on one either. So
and the stack of Cure 3s carried me through the whole game. Every time I find those, I'm just ecstatic.
Oh yeah, fantastic items. But even with Chocosura having Bahamut, I think you were the first one to clear the Lunar Dragons and hit the Underworld. So that knowledge you have of the AI paid off wonderfully for you.
Yeah, sweet. I feel relieved. For my first race.
Oh yeah, getting 4 points definitely feels good. When's your next race, by the way? When's your next one scheduled for?
It's this week, Tuesday, I think, maybe. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I think we have 3 races going on Tuesday?
Yeah, my next race is Tuesday. That's gonna be a fun one.
Gotcha. Who all will you be competing with in that one?
Right at the end of this, I was hanging out with my wife watching all this, and right at the end I was so stressed. I was like, oh, I'm gonna lose that Mist Dragon, and then I turned to her and said, this is fun.
Those sweet endorphins.
It is fun. So yeah, I just had a lot of fun tonight.
Hey, that's awesome. And yeah, good luck with your next race. I do see it's against Penguinator, Kirchen, and Z-Man, 3 other great racers.
It's going to be another serious race.
Yeah, that's going to be
easy ones.
Hope you give us a
I'm
good
not sure
show.
anyone has any easy ones. Everyone who made it in the top 32 is good.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
some fantastic runners here. You did great tonight. hoping you do well on Tuesday. I'll be there. I'll be looking forward to seeing that.
All right. I want to sign out. Thanks a lot for commentating.
And everyone, make sure you give SwimmyLionni a follow. He may do a lot of it offline, but when he is online streaming this game, whether League Flags or Cata Seeds, you can learn an awful lot, and he's a great guy.
Yeah.
So make sure you give him a follow.
Definitely
Thanks,
a
Endo.
great watch.
Thank you. Have a
Hey.
good night, everyone.
Have a good night, Swimmy. GG again.
Night. GG.
Thanks.
Moving back to the action, we do have a race to second place right now between dipwood and chocosura. Each of them choosing to pick up Fu on the moon. So we have the only difference in party comp now is a Cecil on dipwood versus an Edge on chocosura. So it should be interesting to see which team gets the increased DPS. They each have two great sources of Cure 4 and Life 2 for picking people back up. Going to be interesting to see if they try to nerf Big Bangs, if they try to power through it. Definitely going to be a big race for second place here, y'all.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. Like, I totally understand Choco doing swapping Rydia for Fu there. Rydia did all the work before, but you know what? Her time has come when it comes to Zero, and so Fu coming up there is great. Not sure about dropping Edge there, but you know what? That's still a fantastic party he's got. We're gonna see. This I'm not foreseeing a lot of trouble for them on these fights, so we'll see how well they both pull it off.
Yeah, chocosura taking advantage of that spoon, throwing it at Vitramus. The one thing that, if I remember seeing the weapons correctly throughout the scene, I think the best gear we saw for Edge were long swords and maybe assassin daggers, if that's more your speed for, egg grinding. So I can kind of see what Dipwood's done here. Kayn has the Holy Lance, great weapon, best weapon for Kayn, unless you consider Avenger better. Cecil has an Excalibur, which just does out tons of damage, and Young's damage is not based on his gear. So I can kind of understand that, but we'll see if the spoon usage from chocosura gives him a continued advantage, because he did get into the main part of Vitramus first. This is neck and neck, folks. I don't think we've had a closer race than this.
Yeah, and you know what? With the way a lot of these seeds play, you know what? I'm not sure if we'll see something so close again. So we've got a treat here. This is great to watch. We've got some great players very close, and we're gonna get to see what happens.
One thing that did slow chocosura down a little bit, in spite of having the early lead, was Rosa did eat a consecutive nuke and Big Bang and caused her to take a brief nap before getting back up. So should be interesting to see if that gives Dipwood enough time to retake the advantage.
Yeah, so that will be, you know what, that just makes for a greater race for us to watch, honestly. Because honestly, we're not gonna see a wipe here. We're seeing tons of damage being poured out by these parties. It's just a question, who does it first?
Absolutely. Wonderful weapons. Again, finding a Holy Lance and an Excalibur is pretty much the dream. If you're going to find items in these key item locations that are not actual key items, you want something that's going to give you the DPS for this fight.
Yeah, I see chocosura is pretty much going nerfless, I think, and Dipwood is going out of his way to do some nerfing on the Big Bangs. That may be the speed edge that chocosura needs.
Absolutely. That's always a gamble. You're trading survivability for DPS. It takes time to cast your nuke. It takes time to eat the nuke counter. It takes time to cast extra healing after eating the nuke counter. So, definitely a risk-reward situation that you can only decide based on your team, your equipment. 1900 HP on Fu may not survive an unnerfed one if you get unlucky with rolls.
Yeah, but with Rosa, we've got the fireworks coming out on chocosura's stream. We've got the Meteor phase.
That's less than 12,000 HP to go. Let's see if chocosura can wrap this up before Dipwood catches him.
And Fusoya eats a nuke to the face as he gets his team berserked again. Another Meteor coming in on chocosura. And
And I'm looking for a flash. Is there a flash? Yes,
Yes.
chocosura has taken second place with a
and
time
we
of
have a
1 hour, 54 minutes, and 37 seconds, while Dipwood hits Meteo phase. So this is going to be really close.
yes. This is looking really tight here. Fantastic race, fantastic zero fights.
Oh,
And
and
there-
21 seconds later, Dipwood takes third with 154.58. Oh, so close. You hate to be sniped that way, but what a finish for us and for you, the audience.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Like, you know what? Beautifully tight play there. Really nice zero fights, very smooth. Great work from both these runners. GG to both of you, Chocosura and Dipwood.
And we're going to see if we can't get one or both of them in for interviews in just a second.
And Dragondarch, while we wait for them, is popping off the Darkness Crystal.
Which, if Dragondarch does decide to head to the moon, that'll definitely take a little bit longer to wrap the seed up, since we know our progression is on the Earth. And there we go. We're joined by Dipwood. Dipwood GG. That was a heck of a finish. What did you think about that seed?
I shouldn't have fallen into the mist dragon trap.
Yeah, that was a rough one. That fight in those spots always takes a long time. Yeah, but even with it, you nearly had it. You made great decisions to not fall for the moon trap. Any other thoughts on that seed? How about the lunar dragons back at the Rubicon spot?
Yeah, things happened, and that I did not plan for, and then I took advantage of it.
That was amazing. That's honestly one of the best things I have ever seen to do with this game. That was fantastic. Worth the price of admission right there.
Yeah, we're definitely. I'm saving a screenshot of your frog fight, your Frog City USA, and I love that. That was great. And if it is consolation, all 4 of the racers tonight did defeat Mist Dragon, so you weren't the only one who fell into the trap. Just if things had just swung your way just a little differently, you would have had that second place finish.
Yeah, it looks like it was really close. Z fight between me and the second guy.
Oh yeah, you and Chocosura just neck and neck through there. And it, great race, great job doing it. Hopefully your next one will be swinging the other direction. Speaking of which, when is your next race?
Let me check the schedule. It's in 2 days, I think, at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Gotcha. And let's see, I'll pull it up right quick. Let's see who your opponents will be for that one. You'll be facing off against Silverfire, Dusty Griff, and Scratch Dragon. So another great race coming up, everyone. Make sure you mark your calendars, and make sure you give Dipwood a follow. Dipwood, great at this game. Just a tiny little bit of bad luck getting sniped tonight, but fantastic racer. Make sure you give him a follow as well.
Yeah, you were great to watch. Definitely give him a follow. He's always playing really well. GG.
And we are now also joined by our second place finisher, Chocosura. GG, congrats on second place.
GG, thank you very much.
By the way, our only racer to both keep Rydia and find Bahamut. How did you feel when you got that summon from that Mad Ogre chest?
I was breathing a sigh of relief because, Rydia, I had nothing for her. I was switching around equipment at times, and when I saw that Bahamut, I was, oh, thank you. I can actually do something now.
Yeah, and that was one interesting divergence with everyone. 2 of you decided to ditch Rydia, 2 of you kept her, but you were the only one of all 4 racers who found that Bahamut, and it made a huge difference for you throughout your entire middle game.
Definitely.
One thing I was wondering about, though, at one point you went to the moon, you did the Bahamut cave, and you found the Twin Harp. Why did you not want us to hear the music?
To be honest, I have a little thing about magnets or cave magnets that I've had some bad experiences with it. So in this particular seed, I decided, okay, should I do Zot or should I do Cave Magnus? So I just pretty much did a coin flip and went for Zot. And yeah,
Hey, and it paid off for you.
yeah, it did.
When you got that twin harp and we're coming back to Earth, we were all hoping like, all right, name that tomb. Oh, Luca Cave.
Oh no, he picked the right move that will actually help him come in second.
We don't want right moves. We want music.
Right.
Yeah. What are these people in this league playing well?
But GG, congrats again. And how did you feel when you saw that third place come in 22 seconds right after you, or 21 seconds?
I was actually surprised. I was like, oh, he came in 20 seconds behind me. That was too close. My Z fight, pretty smooth Z fight, I think, except for when he did the black hole and I kind of lost my berserks, but it didn't really matter at the end.
Yeah, I saw that Rosa take a
Slowed me
brief
down a
nap
little
as
bit.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when's your next race? When's your next one coming up?
I believe it's next Sunday on the 12th.
On the 12th. Gotcha. Oh, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Playing our our tracker tonight, Night Dew, our restreamer tonight, Rivers McCann, and Obda Jr., another active member of the community. So basically, you're fighting the restream team
Oh yeah.
next Sunday.
That
So
should be a good one.
Yeah, that's gonna be fantastic. To everybody watching, if you're here to watch this, make sure you catch that one because that is gonna be a fantastic race. Every single person involved, a fantastic runner. It's gonna be great.
Thank you.
any final thoughts on the seed, either of you? chocosura, dipwood?
No, not really. But I'm kind of questioning my decision on ditching Vidi at the end. But I didn't think it made too much of a difference, to be honest.
Well,
That's
I have
fair.
two thoughts. One is I've seen that Miss Dragon Leviathan spot before, and I once got like very high place in a race because like a bunch of the top runners did it and got nothing out of it. So I don't know. I should have learned from that lesson that everyone else had. But yeah, because it doesn't seem time-wise. I could probably do all of the moon in the time it took me to beat that one boss.
Yeah, it's a very, very nasty spot just because of the transformations. Like, there are other hard bosses at those spots, but even though Miss Dragon's not really difficult, it definitely eats into that time.
The other thing is I made a tough decision at the moon to pick up food. Because I was planning to put some bows on Cecil and back row glitch him and just have 4 melee and tank the big bangs. But I figured, kind of dangerous. So I picked up food.
Gotcha. Well, your Z fights both went well. Swapping out for Fu didn't really hurt either one of you either way. GG's to both of you. Everyone, make sure you give both chocosura and dipwood follows. They both play this game. They play it well. You saw it tonight. And be looking for more race action from all of them coming up as well.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. There's more tomorrow. There's a lot coming Tuesday. We've got stuff coming Sunday. Keep an eye out. A lot of free enterprise for everybody to enjoy, and lots of fantastic racers.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we have one to go. Dragondarch did have a little bit of difficulty earlier with that Lunar Dragon fight, but not giving up, fighting through, going to keep a...
And he's going to Zot, so we're on the right track.
Yes, definitely landing here at Troya is a very good sign. So, in spite of the early difficulties, should still be coming in, not too far behind our other runners. Managed to avoid some of those traps, did go through some of them, but still making great pace for how this seed treated him earlier.
Yeah, and honestly, if he'd gotten through those Lunar Dragons at a similar time as everybody else, this would be a much tighter race. He's making fantastic time through these other rabbit holes.
And that's one thing too, that even if you end up, taking a loss in these, you have to look at the decisions you made for each leg of the race. Yes, Lunar Dragons, they've given me a hard time, but as soon as I got out of there, I made the plays, I made the right decisions. If you time it from entering Underworld to hitting Zeromus, Dragondarch is probably going to have the best time out of any of our runners.
Yeah, he did waste some time with Miss Dragon, but unlike everybody else who got pretty much nothing out of going down that particular path. He got Leviathan for Rydia out of that, which we'll see if he keeps her to the end. But you know, Leviathan, no Bahamut, but he'll do work.
Absolutely.
Taking down the old lake monster of Lake Okanagan. That's our Canadian content for the day.
It's funny to me that they chose that as the translation, because in Japanese it's, I believe it's Taira Ryathan. Is that correct?
Something like that, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so localization team rolling with a Canadian lake monster is an interesting choice. I kind of like it.
Yeah, like, honestly, I really enjoy seeing that. That's, it's not something you'd expect to see, and you know what? As a Canadian, that I really enjoy seeing that. And yeah, absolutely. People are asking in chat if Dragondarch would still get a point if he forfeited at this point. He absolutely would, but he is sticking it out, and I really appreciate seeing that. It's always disappointing when somebody drops out of a race at the point where it's where they know they're not gonna win, and everybody else has already finished. But you know what? I really appreciate seeing him stick it through.
Oh, definitely. And the other thing too is if someone does have to forfeit, if like let's say Dragondarch went to the moon, cleared all the bosses, still hadn't found the crystal, had places to be, other prior commitments, that's fine.
Yeah.
We're not going to fault anyone for having real life get in the way. But in this situation, definitely cool to see. I've fallen behind. I'm not even, at the Zeromus fight like with some races you have third and fourth both at Zeromus at the same time, and this is just showing great fortitude on Dragondarch's part to continue fighting through it.
Yeah, like, you know what? No shame at all in noping out, especially at a point like this, but you know what? I really appreciate seeing him stick it through. And just steamrolling Odin here. He did do his grind before coming up, so this should take no time, and once we're through here, we're gonna pop over to the whale and just zip through straight to the end.
Odin going down fairly cleanly. Again, very powerful team, already done the grind. Rosa has nearly 2,400 HP. And of course, we'll be rewarded with that crystal, and will not surprise me to see Dragondarch go straight for the whale and straight to the moon.
Yes, absolutely there. Very good chance of still seeing the swap at the end, which, again, Rydia can do a lot of work throughout the rest, but she's not very good at surviving big bangs, and Fu knows Cure 4.
Cure 4, very helpful addition to any Zeromus fight.
Yeah, like, you know what, like the other, Dipwood and Choco were saying, neither of them were 100% sure if it was a right call, but you know what, the extra healing, never a bad idea.
Drogon, Odin's spot was the CPU, and I missed what item it had. I don't think it was a key item, but hopefully our tracker Knight can fill us in on what the actual reward was.
It was a spoon.
Ah, gotcha, okay. Wish the Spoon did help chocosura edge out Dipwood at the final finish there, throwing it with edge for massive damage against Zeromus.
Yeah.
So may have been what determined the one of the things that determined our actual second place finisher today.
Well, it could very well have been. The Spoon's one of those interesting key items where you're never happy to see it, because it always means that it's something that could have been more broadly useful. It could have been progress, but it can really clutch out a fight for you. I've had it deal with Golbez for me any number of times. It hits like a truck on Zero.
Also useful if you happen to find, say, Valvalus at a spot when you haven't found Kane yet. It will still most likely hit her for massive damage.
Yes.
So let's see, is he taking Fu? No, he is sticking with Rydia to the bitter end.
Interesting, because she does only have the 1,400 hit points. She's not gonna be standing up through that whole fight.
Yeah, but hey, that's fine. You know,
Yeah.
it can be personal preference. It can be I've used this team the entire game. I'm very content with my team. Let me just go with what I've gotten comfortable with and finish this up.
Yeah, and you know what? If she does end up taking a nap, the rest of the party, they can finish the job. Rivers here is confirming that he did do post-hook the fastest, so... And that definitely jives with just the kind of eyeballing I've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And while Dragondarch is making his way down here into the Lunar Core, want to remind you all, definitely follow RPG Limit Break if you've not already. There's going to be a lot more Zemus-Zone action on here over the course of the next couple months. More great free enterprise racing. We do community races Monday nights on the Randomizer network at 9:30 Eastern, and Fridays on the Speed Gaming network at 7 Eastern. Give all these runners a follow. They put on the show for you tonight. SwimmyLionni, Dipwood, Chocosura, and Dragondarch. And of course, big thanks to our restream team, Rivers McCown, actually letting us have the show tonight. Night Dew, doing a fantastic job with the tracking, and also answering questions in chat throughout the night, both of them. Make sure you follow both of them. Not just restreaming and tracking, both are amazing free enterprise players. They're both in the league. You're going to see them in action in the weeks to come.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely check out their races, because they know how to put out a show for you.
And definitely follow my co-anchor tonight, Neongrey. Neon not only does free enterprise and does some pretty fun scenes and creative stuff in them, you've recently started dipping your toes into Final Fantasy I rando I've seen as well. So,
yes. In fact, I took a forfeit out of my very first race to join you all here. So that's how much I love you all. And of course, if you're not following Invenerable already, make sure you follow him too. Streams a lot of free enterprise, a lot of other games. You know, one of the best racers out there too. Great watch, great follow.
Oh, thank you. And additionally, not just following us, but if you like what you're seeing with the game, join the Discord. Come on in. We have a lot of great guides. Rivers himself maintains a newbie guide, so even if you've not played Final Fantasy IV or not played it in a long time, that'll get you started. They're beginner-friendly flags that are not quite as difficult as the ones we're running tonight. Just tons of fun. I love me some open world randomizers. Hop on in. Great community as well.
Yeah, and you know what? Great, super friendly, and if you ever say you want to pick this up even casually and you're having trouble, you know what, 24 hours a day, practically, you will find someone who can help you out with your problem. You know, bad boss at a spot, not sure where to check, we'll be able to help you.
Absolutely. Dragondarch has entered their Zeromus fight here at the roughly the 2-hour 13-minute mark, so should be coming in not too long. Looking through their loot right quick to see, wonder if they're looking for silk webs or there's their one Bacchus wine. Okay, silk webs are near the top, so only one wine. We do have Rosa knowing Berserk as well, of course. And waiting to time the silk web. Of course, if you trigger it before the transformation, the silk web will miss because it's still targeting the other Zeromus body. So very smart there, not wasting the item to just whiff.
And Rosa takes that first nuke counter, which never fun, but she can take it.
Yep. And even if Vitrumus gets a big bang off, it should be nerfed now. Should be fine. And I think only one Cure 3 in Dragondarch's inventory. So Rydia probably won't be flinging too many potions, but can hopefully at least, there's an ether, keep Rose's HP topped off.
But a Moonveil, I think we're looking at Reflex Breath, maybe.
Ah, must be. Opting to let Rydia get a little additional damage, contribute to the fight without drawing Reflex. Of course, without being able to heal Rydia through that Moonveil, there may be, she may be taking a nap sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Certainly, getting the rest of these guys berserk will also do a lot of the work here. And... oh, looks like she doesn't have nuke, but Virus will do plenty of damage also.
Yeah, let her contribute in her own little way until the bang comes.
Yeah, and certainly it'll let her be a nice wall for Rose's waste events off too. So this should be a good watch on this fight. Should be actually even quicker. Oh no, that was a Cure Forward on a white.
So that'll actually do a little bit of healing to Vitrimus. Not too bad, nothing that doesn't get made up for, but
yeah,
it was kind of roughly the same amount of healing that the virus did, so definitely very tricky to use wall strats in this fight. If you time it right, you can avoid a big HP refill and only have to do about 61,000 damage instead of roughly, 110,000 damage. So you can definitely cut the fight short that way, but
yeah,
it can be tricky. Sometimes you'll accidentally nuke or white your own character in the face after a black hole. Definitely advance Zeroma's techniques.
yeah, and you know what? There's a question too of how much shorter you're actually cutting it, because spell animations take a long time. Berserking doesn't. Well, you've got fewer hit points to cut through. It's gonna take a similar amount of time, real time, just to take him down.
On the other hand, if you are playing, say, with the C3 flag, which only gives you 5 characters to choose from, and those are all, Palom, Porum, Rydia, Rosa, Fusoya, all of a sudden Reflect strats do become a bit more appealing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they're a fantastic tactic to know. I'm just, for a lot of teams, it's not necessarily the most practical.
That's absolutely right, for sure. But it's good to have these tools in your toolkit,
Yes.
especially in races.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too, is that one thing we're seeing with these flags that we're using around the 32, they are definitely testing all of our runners' skills. We're having to do a lot of different things. We're seeing people having to do esoteric grinds and things, having to get out their maps.
Absolutely. Looks like this will be another full power Big Bang, again with Rydia down. There aren't that many ways to nerf it. You could, throw another Silk Web, but then you run the risk of getting Nuke on Rosa immediately followed by the Big Bang, which, if it high rolls, even nerfed, it may be able to finish off your healer. So I think that Dragondarch is not going to be doing any more nerfs, and is just going to be Cure 4ing through the rest of this fight.
Yeah, and honestly, that's totally fine. It's actually my preferred way of fighting this. The nerfs, if you've got enough hit points on everybody, you don't need to do it. Zeromus is not going to go that fast. You can heal through anything he does.
Absolutely. Although this may get a little chancy here, we do have both Kane and Edge at fairly low HP. Kane jumped away from the Cure 4. He's like, I don't need your healing. I am a strong, independent Dragoon who does not need a white mage, and I will prove it during the interlude.
Well, yes, while having 110 hit points.
Anyway, there we go. Healed up a bit. Could still high roll on Kane, but if he's in the air, it doesn't matter, of course.
Yeah, jumping's interesting. You don't actually see a lot of jumping on Kane, though it obviously does a ton of damage. Usually people just berserk him and go, but...
Well, it is a little trickier when you're all out of Bacchus Twine and you only have one white mage left. So,
yeah.
I can appreciate it. And also, keeping Kane unberserked means that you do have someone who can throw, a Cure 3 or an Elixir and Ether as you need them.
Yeah, and it ups the amount of healing that your Cure 4s do, and we're in the Meteo phase.
Excellent. So, Dragondarch should be wrapping up this fight in short order. Still coming in under the 220 mark. Great routing, just got hung up on those Lunar Dragons, which, it happens. It's a very difficult boss spot, and that's one of the nastier bosses in the game.
Yes, and he is done, finishing with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 18 minutes, and 59 seconds.
And has included an SRL comment, D Lunars, shakes fist.
And who can blame him, really?
Absolutely, but great race, great showcase by all our runners tonight.
Yeah, and fantastic play once he got through them.
Absolutely. Make sure you give, again, all of our runners a follow. Make sure you give the entire Restream team a follow. Make sure you're here on RPG Limit Break. Turn those alerts on. Gonna be races happening all through the month of August and September. And yeah, we've been at it for a while. I think we're probably going to head out pretty soon. Neon, do you have anything else you want to add tonight?
No, I think we're pretty much it. Also, if you did like this race, I believe the RPG Valkyries are still playing Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. You can get some more right now if you check them out.
Oh, back-to-back Free Enterprise? Yes.
You know, guys, maybe we should shoot them a raid. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Tell them the
I am-
Zemus-Zone sent them. So that's what you guys could message them. Just to let you guys know, the next match that will be on RPG Limit Break will be tomorrow at 1 Eastern, while El Magus, Ginger Damas, The Fizz, and Ravelin. So please come check out that match as well, and go say hi to the Valkyries from us at the Zemus-Zone.
That'll be a good one.
Yes, I'm going to be tracking that. I believe you're commentating that. And I believe it's with Nits. Nits guy.
Should be good.
Yeah.
See y'all tomorrow morning, afternoon, depending on your time zone. Good night, everybody.
Yes.